There are silences that scream louder than 1,000 words, and there are women's eyes that reveal intentions they wouldn't dare admit out loud. Do you notice it? Because if you don't see it, you're already at a disadvantage. Most men are blind to a woman's body language. They mistake politeness for interest, desire for friendliness, and what could be a clear invitation slips by out of ignorance or fear. That blindness comes at a cost, missing real opportunities, or worse, falling for manipulations wrapped in sweetness. Today, I'm going to show you 5 signs a woman gives when she's craving intimacy. Some will make you uncomfortable. Others will take you back to moments when you were deaf to the obvious. But the last one might change the way you see women forever. I'm Celia, and this is a message for men who are ready to open their eyes and take back control. Stay with me until the end. Not everyone dares to, but you're not here to keep living on autopilot. Have you ever felt a woman's gaze on you and had no idea what to do with it? You don't know whether to respond, move closer, or walk away. You freeze, like you're standing in front of an open door, but don't have the courage to step through. Listen closely, because this is the first point of the video, and it's called the gaze that lingers longer than usual. It's not an urban legend. It's not some cheesy romantic idea. It's a biological signal as old as humanity itself, and as ignored as your own intuition. When a woman holds your gaze longer than she has to, it's not by accident. She's making a move. She's silently asking, "Did you catch that? Or are you like the rest, blind, clumsy, harmless?" Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Countless men have missed out on real chances for connection, desire, even love, simply because they couldn't read what was right in front of them. They think she was just being nice, that she was just polite, that it's just the way she is. No, sir. What she did was open a window, and you chose to look the other way. Let me tell you something a man once confessed to me. He was 68, retired, divorced, with that faded look of someone who spent more time living for others than for himself. He told me that once, at a cafe, a younger woman stared at him for several minutes. She didn't look at him like someone waiting her turn. She looked at him with hunger, with curiosity, with contained desire. He noticed. He felt that fire, something he hadn't felt in decades. But he did nothing. He swallowed hard, looked down, and convinced himself he imagined it. Years later, he still remembered it as one of his greatest regrets. Not holding that gaze, not returning the fire, not allowing himself to be seen as a man one more time. Do you get it? That lingering gaze isn't a mistake. It's a test. She wants to know if you're still alive inside, if there's still a heartbeat, if there's still a man awake behind those tired eyes. But if you don't see it, if you don't respond, she shuts down. She won't give you a second chance. Because when a woman exposes herself like that, even if it's just for 3 seconds, she's hoping someone strong enough will catch it, not someone defeated hiding behind his own shadow. Here's what you need to understand right now. A prolonged gaze isn't just a reflex. It's an elegant provocation, a non-verbal statement that says more than words ever could. If you can't recognize it, you're losing the most valuable thing you have left, your ability to spark desire, to connect, to feel alive. And don't tell me it never happens to you. It does. Every single day, on the street, at the store, on the train, women looking at you, waiting for you to look back with presence, with confidence, with intention. Not with fear, not with insecurity. So next time a woman looks at you like that, don't ignore it. Don't pretend you didn't notice. Look back with calm, with depth, like you're saying without words, "Yes, I saw you, and I'm right here." Because if you don't act like a man, she won't act like a woman. And if you keep letting those signals pass you by, you're going to end up as a spectator in your own life, instead of the one who leads it. If you understood what I said earlier, then you already know that female desire isn't always spoken. It's expressed through gestures that demand your awareness, your presence, your aliveness. But the gaze is just the first spark. A woman might look at you, tease you with her eyes, but if you don't respond, if you lack presence, she moves on to the next filter. And this is where many men fail without even realizing it. We've now reached the second key point in this video, the repeated accidental closeness. It's not an accident. It's not a coincidence. It's a test. And if you don't pass it, you're out of the game before you even knew you were in it. Let me explain it from a perspective that goes beyond the physical. When a woman invades your personal space more than once, brushing your arm, leaning toward you, sitting close when other seats are available, she's triggering a psychological mechanism that's been around since humans stopped being nomads. She's testing territory, testing if her closeness gets a reaction from you. Do you tense up? Do you pull away? Do you get uncomfortable? Or worse, do you do nothing? Stoicism teaches us not to worry about what we can't control. But this isn't about controlling the woman. It's about controlling your response, your center, your energy. A man who's trained in his mind doesn't react like a teenager when a woman comes close. He doesn't chuckle nervously. He doesn't break into a cold sweat. He stays composed. He observes. He feels. He decides whether that closeness is welcome or not. Because here's the hard truth. Many men, out of fear or low self-worth, allow that closeness without understanding what it means, and end up on one of two equally destructive paths. One, they become overly eager, submissive, like a dog wagging its tail because someone noticed them. Two, they freeze, shut down, and send the wrong signal. I'm not available. I'm not capable. I'm not a man. Let me make it clear with a scene. Imagine you're at a meeting and a woman, without needing to, sits very close to you. She talks more than she needs to, laughs enthusiastically at things that aren't that funny, and occasionally touches your forearm to emphasize a point. That's not politeness. That's exploration. She's testing if you can hold that energy without falling apart, without turning into an emotional beggar. But like so many men, you don't know how to read it. And because you don't know what to do, you do the worst thing. Nothing. Or the second worst, you turn into a clown trying to make her laugh, trying to win her over, chasing her approval like a boy craving his mother's affection. That's the root of the problem, lack of inner masculinity. Because a man who hasn't come to terms with his desire, his sexual energy, his presence, will see that closeness either as a threat or as a chance to beg. Never for what it really is, an evaluation, a filter, a decisive moment. If you don't know how to hold a woman's nearness without losing your center, without betraying yourself, she will notice. Because it's not just about what you do, it's about what you project, confidence or need. Psychologically, this hits deep. A lot of men have grown up feeling invisible, and when a woman touches them, looks at them, comes close, they feel like it's a miracle. But a miracle they don't understand, one they can't handle, one that overwhelms them. And that's when they lose all their power. That's when they give it away without even knowing. So the next time a woman accidentally gets close to you more than once, don't act like you've just won the lottery. See it for what it is, a signal, a silent question. Are you here? Are you a man or just a spectator in your own life? If you can't hold that moment, she'll know it before you say a single word. And she won't give you another chance. Because to a woman, the body doesn't lie. And if you don't understand what her body is saying, you become background noise, not a presence worth remembering. Up to this point, we've talked about signals that many men miss, out of ignorance, fear, or a lack of presence. But if you've been paying attention, you already understand that a woman doesn't need to say out loud what her body is screaming. And if you're not ready to read it, someone else will be. Now we're stepping into subtler territory, but it's just as important. This is the third point in the video, and here's where everything can start to shift if you truly get it. The play with her hair, her mouth, or her hands. It might seem silly, just a meaningless gesture, but in reality it's an unconscious expression of attraction. Behavioral psychology has spent decades studying how humans show desire when they're too afraid to speak it. And in women, micro-gestures are the most common way. When she plays with her hair, lightly bites her lip, slowly caresses the rim of her glass, or interlaces her fingers as she listens to you, she's not bored. She's tuning in. She's syncing up with you. She's sending signals to see if you can catch what's happening on that invisible level where few men operate. The strategy here is brutally simple but powerful. Don't react, observe, interpret. And when you notice those gestures repeating, send a message back, just as silent but firm. A direct look, a pause in the conversation, a silence that doesn't seek to be filled but to confirm, yes, I saw that, and I'm good with it. Because if you get nervous, start rambling, change the subject, or make some awkward joke to cover it up, what you're really saying is that you're not ready, that you can't hold sexual tension without falling apart. So how does this play out in real life? Picture this, you're sitting in a cafe. She adjusts her hair several times while talking to you. She bites her lower lip slightly when you say something that makes her laugh. She toys with her cup, slowly turning it in her hands without breaking eye contact. Don't say anything. Don't slip into teenage mode. Just hold your energy steady. Watch. Hold her gaze. Then shift the rhythm of the conversation. Speak more slowly. Lower your voice. Lean in slightly without invading her space. That subtle shift in your attitude, calm yet dominant, is what separates an average guy from one who gets the game. Because this isn't a game of words. It's a silent dance. And if you don't know how to dance on that level, you're out. The power of this approach lies in one thing: reading without reacting, responding without needing to speak. When a woman sees that you don't fall into the trap of childish excitement, that you're not chasing every gesture like a starving puppy, she begins to see you as her equal, as a man. And that's where everything changes, because she doesn't want a clown who jumps at every cue. She wants a pillar, someone who knows exactly what's happening without needing it explained. Someone who understands desire, respects it, and knows how to hold it. Before we move on to what's next, which will be even more revealing, I'm going to ask you for something simple. If this message is helping you see things more clearly, hit subscribe and leave a like. Let me know which country you're watching from, and drop one phrase in the comments: the body doesn't lie. There are still lessons ahead that many don't want to hear, but you're not here to stay in the dark. And trust me, the last one will be the most uncomfortable, but also the most important. What you've just learned about female gestures, those subtle plays with her hair or mouth, already puts you several steps ahead of the average man. But seeing isn't enough. You also need to interpret. And above all, avoid falling into the trap of reacting with emotional hunger, because that's where many men lose everything they've gained. Now, we're entering more delicate, more treacherous ground. This is the fourth point in the video, the way she touches her clothes in front of you. It might seem trivial, but behind that gesture, there can be a powerful message or a trap. And if you can't read it with emotional intelligence, you may end up as the useful fool in a story you don't understand. When a woman adjusts her neckline, fixes her pants, or lifts the collar of her blouse while standing in front of you, the first thing you need to understand is this: it's not always casual. Very often, it's a calculated provocation. A non-verbal way of saying, I'm here, and I want you to notice. But it can also be a test. Can you see this without losing your composure? And here comes the fatal mistake. Most men, especially those who've spent years feeling ignored or underestimated, react with anxiety. They awkwardly look away, or worse, stare like they're watching something forbidden. Either way, they lose. Because when a woman makes that gesture, she's not looking to see you act like a teenager with raging hormones. She wants to know if you can stay grounded, if you can see her as a woman without becoming a slave to your impulse. The most destructive mental error at this point is assuming that any signal is a green light, that if she adjusts her blouse in front of you, you've suddenly got permission to move forward without filter. That misread comes from lack, maybe years, even decades without real feminine attention. And now that someone shows a hint of interest or flirtation, your mind goes into overdrive. You lose control, you fall into fantasy, and you stop seeing the woman as a person and start seeing her as walking validation. That shift, from present man to needy man, is what she picks up on instantly. And the moment she senses it, you're out. This mistake creeps in without you realizing it because it's wrapped in hope. You think someone is finally seeing you as a man. You get your hopes up. You rush in. But the truth is, you're projecting what you need, not what's actually happening. You go blind to the reality of the moment. And that's dangerous because a woman can smell desperation the way a predator smells blood. When she touches her clothes, she's testing the waters. She wants to know if she can feel feminine in front of you without you turning into a clown or a creep. And if you don't understand that, you'll act from lack, from urgency, from hunger, not from presence, not from confidence. And the consequences are clear. You become invisible. Or worse, you become someone to be wary of. Because a man who can't handle the tension of a flirtation is seen as a risk, as someone immature, emotionally fragile, and to a woman who respects herself, that's unacceptable. So what should you do? Simple. Notice the gesture, receive the message, but stay in control. Don't lunge, don't make dumb comments, don't show anxiety. Your calm is your best answer. And if she keeps it up, if she repeats the gesture, if she adjusts herself again in a deliberate way, then you know the ground is ready to move forward, but always with direction, never with desperation. Remember this, what looks like flirtation could be a test. What seems like provocation might be a challenge. If you react like a boy, you'll lose like a boy. But if you respond like a man, if you can hold desire without drowning in it, then you become someone worth playing with. And in this game, only those who stay true to themselves survive. If you've made it this far, then you already understand that female body language isn't just decoration or some impossible mystery. It's a silent dance that only awake men can follow. But there's one signal that breaks all the rules, one that doesn't hide behind gestures or touches, but hits like a bullet straight to the heart of your dignity. You're now at the 5th point of this video, the intimate questions she asks out of nowhere. And believe me, this is the most dangerous one if you don't know what you're doing. When a woman asks if you have a partner, if you live alone, if you cook for yourself or have free time, she's not making small talk. She's running an inspection. She's measuring your availability, your context, your emotional value. She's assessing whether you're a free, desirable, and self-sufficient man, or an emotional burden wrapped in skin. And here comes the trap. Most men respond with too much emotion, too much information, or too much need. And in that exact moment, they lose her respect, permanently. Do you know why? Because a woman isn't looking for you to explain your life story. She wants to feel your energy. If you tell her you live alone and wish you had company because loneliness is hard, you're done. If you talk about how your ex hurt you, how your kids don't appreciate you, how you're looking for someone who understands you, you've just turned yourself into a candidate for emotional rescue. She doesn't want that. She wants a man who has his life under control, who can be alone without falling apart, who doesn't need to be saved or heard to feel whole. Because desire doesn't come from compassion, it comes from admiration. And here's what no one tells you. When a woman throws an intimate question your way, she's opening a door you can walk through either with power or with dependency. If you walk through with anxiety, with emotional hunger, with the script of the broken man seeking redemption, it's over. She won't comfort you. She won't rebuild you. She won't reward you for your emotional honesty. She'll erase you because you just revealed yourself as weak. And the worst part is you did it thinking you were connecting, but you weren't connecting, you were pleading. The real consequence of this mistake is brutal. You end up being used as a therapist, a source of entertainment, a distraction, but never as a man. You become the one who listens, who understands, who's always there, but never the one who sparks desire, because you lost your frame, because you handed over your story like a beggar offering his last coin. And you did it out of fear of being alone, fear of not being liked, fear that if you don't open up fast enough, she'll leave. But here's the hard truth. A man who can't control his words can't control his life. Can it be reversed? Yes, but not with canned phrases or hollow seduction tricks, only with a new mindset, You need to stop seeking validation and start projecting authority. You need to learn how to respond from your center, not from your wound. If she asks if you live alone, don't say, "Yeah, it's lonely, but I've gotten used to it." Say, "Yes, and I enjoy the peace I worked hard to build." If she asks if you're in a relationship, don't say, "No, women don't take me seriously anymore." Say, "No, because I don't make time for meaningless relationships." Every word out of your mouth should show that you're a man with direction, not someone drifting, waiting to be picked up. This shift isn't easy, because you've spent years, maybe decades, believing that to be liked, you had to open your heart, that to connect you had to share your pain, that to attract you had to prove you were ready to give everything. No, not now, not at this stage in your life. Today, what makes you attractive isn't your story, it's your attitude. It's not your past, it's your presence. It's not your need, it's your independence. That's the mindset you need to install, once and for all, if you want to stop being invisible and start being respected. So the next time a woman asks you something personal, breathe, don't rush, don't emotionally undress yourself like an open book full of wounds. Speak like a man who has lived, who has lost, who has learned, and who no longer needs to prove anything to anyone. Because the man who explains himself too much ends up losing everything. And you're not here to keep losing. You're here to take back what's yours, your power. If you've made it this far, let me tell you something most men can't hear without looking away. You're standing at a crossroads. You can keep ignoring the signals a woman's body sends you every single day. Keep believing the world owes you something for being nice, for being noble, for having suffered, or you can wake up. Because what we've explored in this video isn't entertainment. It's a mirror. And what it reflects isn't always pretty, but it's real. A man who understands these signals doesn't live chasing someone else's desire. He lives with presence, with direction, with self-respect. The one who doesn't see them, or refuses to, ends up dragged through hollow relationships, manipulated by half-hearted affection and empty on the inside. This channel isn't for everyone. We're not here to stroke your ego, we're here to shake your perspective. And if you've made it to the end, it wasn't by accident. It's because something in you refuses to stay asleep. Something in you knows there's still fire left, even if others have written you off. That's why House of Wisdom exists, to help the mature man reclaim his power, his dignity, his masculinity, to stop being the shadow of who he used to be, and become the owner of his life once again. Drop a comment and tell me which country you're watching from, and write just these 3 words, "I am awake." That's how I'll know this message reached the right place. Subscribe if you haven't already. Be part of this community of men and women who aren't looking for comfort, but for truth. And if this video opened your eyes, share it. Someone you know might need it more than you think. And don't leave just yet. This doesn't end here. Check out one of the 2 videos on screen. The conversation is just beginning, and you've already taken the first step.